There is a kind of power in this world that doesn't need muscles, doesn't need loud voices, doesn't need violence. And yet, entire kingdoms have fallen because of it. Wars have started because of it. Empires have collapsed because of it. Men who were feared by nations became weak in front of it. That power is feminine influence. Most men don't understand it until it's too late, because women rarely control men with force. They control emotions, attention, validation, desire, peace, chaos. And the dangerous part is, many men willingly hand over control without realizing it. A man can be disciplined for years, focused, ambitious, locked in on his purpose, then suddenly lose himself trying to impress one woman, not because she forced him, but because he needed her approval. That is the beginning of emotional slavery. And society never talks about this honestly. From a young age, men are taught to chase women, impress women, spend money on women, prove themselves to women. But nobody teaches men how to remain themselves around women. That's why many men become performers instead of leaders. Watch carefully. A man who was once confident suddenly changes his behavior around a beautiful woman. His voice changes, his decisions change, his standards disappear. He starts pretending to be richer than he is, pretending to be tougher than he is, pretending to be cooler than he is. Why? Because feminine approval has become more important than masculine purpose. And once that happens, a man becomes controllable. This is why some women can destroy a man without touching him. Not physically, mentally. A distracted man is already defeated. You see it every day. A man loses focus at work because of relationship drama. Another loses money trying to maintain appearances for women online. Another becomes depressed because one woman rejected him. Another sacrifices his future trying to keep a woman who already stopped respecting him. And the worst part? Many men still think this is love. No, love should strengthen you, not weaken you. Real love gives peace, not confusion. But modern relationships often thrive on emotional instability. Attention has become currency, and social media made everything worse. Today, many women don't even need to know a man personally to control him emotionally. One photo, one post, one story, and thousands of men are competing for attention. Think about that. Men wake up every morning giving free validation to women they will never meet. Likes, comments, money, subscriptions, donations, all chasing a feeling. And the algorithms understand male weakness better than men understand themselves. That's why temptation is everywhere now, because attention is profitable. A distracted man spends more, consumes more, thinks less, and weak men are easier to control. But this conversation is not about blaming women. No, power is not evil by itself. The problem is when men become unconscious of how easily they are influenced. A wise man understands female nature without becoming bitter about it. That's important because some men get hurt, then become angry at all women. That's weakness too. Emotional reactions are still emotional control. The strongest men are emotionally disciplined. They can admire beauty without worshiping it. That is rare today, very rare. Most men either become desperate or hateful. Few remain balanced, and balance is power. A woman respects a man who controls himself, not a man controlled by desire. Because women test men constantly, not always intentionally, sometimes naturally. They observe emotional stability, patience, confidence, discipline. A man who loses control quickly becomes predictable, and predictable men are easy to manipulate. That's why emotional discipline is more important than physical strength. A calm man is dangerous. A man who can walk away from disrespect is dangerous. A man who doesn't need validation is dangerous. Because now, he cannot be controlled easily. And modern society fears men like that. Why? Because independent men are hard to sell to, hard to manipulate, hard to shame, hard to pressure. A man who truly knows his worth stops begging for acceptance. He chooses carefully, speaks carefully, moves carefully, and suddenly, the world treats him differently. Now listen carefully. Women are not the enemy. Lack of self-control is the enemy. Because the same feminine energy that destroys weak men can inspire strong men to greatness. The right woman can bring peace into a man's life, clarity, motivation, support. But the wrong woman, combined with a weak mind, can destroy years of progress. That is reality. And every man eventually learns this lesson one way or another. Some learn early and become wise. Others learn after divorce, after heartbreak, after financial ruin, after emotional destruction. But the lesson always arrives. Never build your entire identity around female approval, because the moment she leaves, you will no longer know who you are. A man must have purpose beyond relationships, mission beyond emotions, standards beyond attraction. That's what keeps a man grounded. And ironically, women often respect men more when they are not desperate for female attention, because desperation kills attraction, neediness kills respect, self-control creates mystery, confidence, strength, and deep down people respect disciplined men. Even their enemies respect them. At the end of the day, beauty fades, attention fades, emotions change, but discipline, purpose, self-respect, those things keep a man standing when everything else collapses. So the question every man must ask himself is simple. Am I leading my emotions, or are my emotions leading me? Because the answer to that question will determine the direction of his entire life. If this message opened your eyes even a little, then subscribe to the channel, because most men are never taught these truths until life teaches them painfully. Leave a comment and tell me, do you think emotional discipline is the most important strength a man can have? And share this video with someone who needs to hear it before making the wrong decisions in life.
Discovery flying 365 miles per hour, 1.5 miles in altitude, 7 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center. Discovery's engines are throttling down as the orbiter passes through the area of maximum pressure on the vehicle.